My name is Serena Hayes, and I was 27 when I realized family isn't defined by blood, but by who chooses to betray you. The mansion smelled like fresh paint and entitlement. My father's grin stretched too wide, like a man who thought he owned not just walls, but hearts. "We're gifting the house to your sister," he said, voice syrupy, smiling at the crowd of relatives sipping champagne. "And you're not invited." I didn't flinch. Not yet. Instead, I looked over at my uncle, my father's brother, a man who rarely spoke up, the quiet shadow at every family gathering. "You want to tell them?" I whispered. "Or should I?" He hesitated, caught between fear and loyalty. Then he nodded. I smiled, calm. 3 days, I murmured, almost to myself. 3 days, and they'll know who really owns this house. Because what they didn't realize was this. I had worked years to pay off the mortgage. Not with inheritance, not with a loan from them, but with my own blood, sweat, and patience. They thought that erased me, that their words could rewrite reality. They were about to find out the truth, and it wasn't going to be polite. 3 days later, the invitations arrived, glossy, gold-embossed, addressed to everyone but me. I held one in my hand anyway, smirking. My sister's name shimmered on the front, mine conspicuously absent. The house was buzzing when I arrived, balloons, laughter, the smell of expensive hors d'oeuvres. I didn't knock. I didn't announce myself. I simply walked through the front door. Guests froze. My father's face drained of color. "Serena, what are you doing here?" he stammered, already fumbling. "I thought you weren't invited." My sister squealed, clutching her champagne flute like it could shield her. I ignored them both and turned to the crowd. "Do you all see this?" I asked, voice calm, carrying across the grand hall. "This house? The one you think belongs to my sister?" Then I gestured behind me. The lawyer, my uncle, stepped forward, holding a stack of documents. "Actually," he said, clearing his throat, "ownership was transferred 3 days ago. Fully paid off. And it's under Serena Hayes' name." Mouths dropped. Phones dropped. The laughter stuttered and died. My father's hands shook. My sister's eyes widened. I smiled slowly, deliberately. "Looks like the party is mine." And just like that, the tables had turned. My father's face was pale, veins visible at his temples. "That's impossible," he said, voice cracking. I handled everything. I paid the bank. I stepped closer, calm, letting the weight of silence stretch. "You mean you tried," I corrected softly. "But you forgot one thing. I had the proof. Every payment. Every transfer. Every signed receipt." My sister's laughter had vanished, replaced with a flush of fear. "Serena, we can fix this," she stammered, her voice high and brittle. "No," I said, shaking my head. "There's nothing to fix. You should have learned respect before thinking you could erase me." Guests whispered, glancing at the documents my uncle held. Some were familiar faces, family friends, neighbors, who had watched me quietly handle my career, my finances, my life. Now they saw the proof, meticulous, undeniable, lawful. My father's eyes darted between me and my uncle. "Why didn't you tell me?" he demanded, desperation creeping in. I smiled. "Because some lessons are better delivered in person." I paused, letting everyone absorb the moment. The reality was clear. The house, the wealth, the symbol of their pride, it was mine. And no argument, no tantrum, no mockery could take it back. My sister opened her mouth, but the sound caught in her throat. And in that silence, victory tasted sweet. The party that was meant to celebrate my sister's achievement had shifted entirely. Guests murmured, exchanging glances. Some were amused, some shocked. Most were silent, watching the unraveling spectacle. My father's hands fisted at his sides. "You can't do this," he shouted, voice raw with disbelief. I let the words hang in the air, heavy and useless. I walked through the room slowly, the soft click of my heels echoing against the marble floor. "I could have let you keep pretending," I said, my voice measured. almost gentle. I could have stayed invisible while you stole what was mine, but I don't do that anymore. My uncle's gaze met mine, a quiet nod of solidarity. The room seemed to shrink around my father and sister. Everything they had relied on, intimidation, favoritism, family influence, evaporated. I reached the staircase, letting my dress trail behind me like a curtain closing on their arrogance. From now on, I continued, looking over my shoulder. Every celebration, every gift, every opportunity that comes from me will be mine to give, or mine to withhold. My father opened his mouth, my sister flinched, but neither could find the words. And in that pause, the house, the very symbol of their power, finally reflected the truth. The rightful owner was standing at the top of the stairs, calm, victorious, untouchable. By the time the champagne had been poured again, I had already called my financial advisor. Every asset, every account tied to the house, was now fully under my name. Every legal loophole my father thought he could exploit was sealed, notarized, and documented. My sister lingered near the buffet, pretending to nibble on canapés, but her eyes darted toward me constantly. "This isn't over," she whispered when no one was looking. I smiled. "Oh, it is," I said softly. "You just didn't know the rules of the game." Guests, oblivious to the tension, murmured about the unexpected turn in family drama, but I didn't need them to witness my victory. The satisfaction wasn't for them. It was for me. I approached my father, calm, deliberate. "Every mortgage payment I made," I said, voice low, "was with my own work, my own discipline, my own patience. And you thought that meant nothing, that you could gift it away without consequence." He swallowed hard, words failing him. I placed a hand lightly on the marble railing, glancing at the crowd. "Consider this a lesson," I said. "Underestimate me again, and the consequences won't be so quiet." For the first time, I felt the power of my own decisions, my own persistence. The house was mine, legally, morally, undeniably. And they would remember it every time they stepped through that door. By evening, the atmosphere had shifted completely. The laughter that once belonged to my father and sister now carried a hollow ring. Guests whispered, glancing at them with sympathy, amusement, and a hint of awe for me. I moved to the balcony, letting the cold night air brush my face, tasting freedom. The house, once a symbol of their dominance, now belonged to me, and the realization felt almost unreal. My father approached, hesitant, voice low. "Serena, I thought you'd never." "You thought wrong," I interrupted, calm, precise. "I never needed your validation. I needed your acknowledgement that I could handle this alone." He opened his mouth again, but I silenced him with a simple nod. No argument could undo what was done. No apology could reverse the truth. My sister lingered behind him, trying to muster bravado. "You'll regret this," she hissed. I smiled, stepping closer. "Regret?
No.
I'll just watch as you realize that underestimating me cost you everything." The wind whipped across the balcony, rattling the windows like applause. I breathed it in, steady, unshaken, untouchable. 3 days, a mortgage, and a little patience had rewritten our family story. And I stood at the center of it, calm, victorious, the rightful owner of everything I'd earned. The fallout didn't end at the party. It only matured. 2 mornings later, my phone vibrated before sunrise. A message from my uncle, the same man I'd looked at 3 days earlier and asked, "You want to tell them, or should I?" "They're panicking," he wrote. "Your father's trying to move assets. Your sister's asking if you'll reconsider." I sat at my kitchen table, still wrapped in a robe, watching steam curl from my mug. Funny, this was the quiet they never gave me when I was younger. Now it belonged to me. By noon, my father showed up at the house. My house. He didn't knock. He never used to. But this time, he hesitated, hand hovering, unsure of his place in the world. When I opened the door, he looked smaller, older, cornered. "Let's talk," he said, forcing calm. "Families don't need lawyers." I leaned against the doorframe, unbothered. Families don't steal either, I replied. Behind him, a realtor's car slowed, then stopped across the street. A sign was being unloaded. My father turned, confused. My sister stepped out of her car at the same time, eyes wide. That was when I finally understood. They still thought they were losing something small. They had no idea what was about to be taken next. The court documents finalized on a quiet Thursday. No drama. No shouting. Just signatures, stamps, and the dull sound of permanence. The house was never my sister's to begin with. The mortgage I paid carried protections my father never bothered to read. My uncle hadn't warned them out of kindness. He'd warned them because legally he had to. By the time the realtor's sign went up, the truth had already settled in. My sister lost the house before she ever moved in. The graduation photos stayed on her phone, useless now. My father lost something worse, authority. He called me that night, left a voicemail. I still don't understand why you're doing this, he said. His voice cracked in a way I'd never heard growing up. I listened once, then deleted it. Because this wasn't revenge fueled by anger. It was consequence delivered calmly, exactly on time. I kept my house. I kept my credit. I kept my silence. And for the first time, they were forced to live with the weight of realizing that I was never the extra child. I was the foundation they stood on. And the moment I stepped away, everything collapsed.